suffocates, whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood. Blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall. One wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
All right. Hey. Can I get a 1 from somebody? Let me know that my microphone is on because I've got a brand new microphone. I got a brand new studio setup. If you see the, look at that. Is that badass? Is that badass? Problem is I need to probably shift it so that I'm not blocking that really cool graphic, but hopefully you dig that. Thanks for the 1s, letting me know that you are getting me loud and clear. I did notice a lot of people are saying that their names have changed. Again, it sounds like it's something YouTube's doing. By the way, I couldn't type in hello sinful bitch because YouTube's like, sorry, that is offensive language. We're not going to let you do that. You've been blocked due to spam. I'm like, really? So I had to abbreviate that. So there's that problem. I'm going to say some hellos to Reality with Krista Marie. Welcome to the show again. Diana Draper, 940. Welcome in. By the way, somebody said, hey, can you shout out to the Aussies who are here all the time? Like, yeah, I don't know. What is it? Why is there such a large following of Australian people to this show? I think it's really cool. Like, I feel like there's an algorithm thing. Like, either Australia is really into true crime or something to that effect, whatever the case may be. Shout out to our Aussies and all that stuff. I think it's super cool. Robin, of course, is with us. She's backstage. Jason Estes chilling backstage, just chomping at the bit to get on. We've got Joe from State of the Deep chilling backstage as well. So we got some lineup. One's going to be a little late, but he probably, by the time I get done talking, because I tend to ramble for long periods of time, more than likely he'll be backstage as well. Troubled Ocean from Florida, welcome into the show tonight as usual. RS Layton, or yeah, I hope that's good enough to pronounce it that way. And then we got Essie, of course, in the house. Penny from Idaho. Sinful, like you said. Shelby, thank you so much. By the way, always let me know sometimes from time to time where you're at. Mitty Witty, again, your name's changed. 1111. So we've got who else? Satire, welcome to the house. Cat's Mojo, of course. If I didn't already say that, I probably did. ASL Munchkin. It's actually age, sex, location, Munchkin 11. Like ASL, that's all I see is age, sex, location. Anyways, ASL. So welcome to as well. Thank you so much for coming in here, everybody. Let me see if I can just catch up to make sure that we've got some greetings. Very, very cool, by the way, that we had a nice 30 people to start out the night. And holy shit, how did we jump up to 219? What the hell just happened? So we just jumped from 330 people to 219. You guys snuck up on me like a blender. I don't know what the hell just happened there. But welcome to the show tonight. Matt Morgan as well. Judith's coming in. Candy Chris. That's a name I'm not super familiar with. So Cat's Mojo, we got that. Cat's Mojo, you get called out a lot. Extraterrestrial Highway. What a great name that is. That's fantastic. Very, very cool. All right, what else do we got? See, right when I thought I was catching up, there were Dale Harrison. We just want to call out some people. Again, let me know, by the way, synesthesia. Do I have synesthesia? Anyways, let me know if you from where you're at. If you in the future, always kind of shout out where you're at if you're willing. All right, let's get into a little bit about the show, what you're going to see tonight, what's on tap. Let's see. Well, first of all, I guess since we did those announcements, let's see if I can bring up my panelists. I'm going to unmute their mics. So right now, if you're backstage, I'm unmuting your mic, so don't do anything unsavory. And then I will throw you all on screen. Is that all we've got on stage right now? I think that's it. Robin, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing well, thank you. Good to see the den, of course, the denizens. And Jason, nice to see you as always.
Very we don't have Joe back here. Wait a minute. Joe is backstage. Why the hell is he? There's Joe. Joe's on stage now as well and unmuted.
Hello, Joe.
So, Joe's mic's either not working. You might have to make sure your mic's turned on, Joe. So while we go through that, let me remind the.
You got me now?
I do. I heard the click. You're golden. For those who aren't familiar with this format, we have kind of like a panel. We call ourselves the Devil's Advocates. I was just the Devil's Advocates, but as we've had a panel of people who regularly come on the show, like Robin, who co-produces the show with me and helps me out with a lot of the minutia of running a channel, which has gotten harder and harder as the channel's grown. I'm not going to complain about the channel growing. Joe from State of the Deep, he runs stateofthedeep.substack.com. He's also launching a YouTube channel. In fact, this panel, while we have regulars on it, Joe's probably going to take a small sabbatical for a little bit to get his channel launched. One of the things he pointed out is like, I have a real job, dude. Like I'm working 10 hours a day, and then I come home and I jump on your live for another 2 hours, and a man's got to sleep. So, and then he's got a channel that he wants to get launched. So we may say a short temporary thing to Joe while he takes a couple of days off or maybe a week off and kind of gets his stuff solidified and get into a routine. But of course, Joe's welcome to jump in anytime he wants to and come back on screen. And so I guess with that, Joe, do you got anything to say about that as well?
Yeah, well, I just been busy, and with the Idaho trip and between working and doing lives, I haven't had time to work on my own stuff. Did you guys lose me there? I'm getting some spinning things. Are you guys getting that also?
We are. We've got you, and there's nothing delay on our side, so you're good.
Okay. So yeah, I just need to get some stuff that I've been working on finished, and it's been hard to do it because I've been busy.
Yeah, I get it. Like I don't have another job, and I hardly can keep up with this shit. So it's a lot of work, and especially Yeah, I mean, even if you got just a segment, it's a lot of work. And if you want to do your own channel, that's a huge amount of work. So, anyways, thanks for joining us. And when are you gonna take some time off? Is it going to start next week or start tomorrow or?
I mean, probably next week. I might be able to get some stuff done this weekend, depending how busy I am. But depending on that, on how much stuff I can get done, I'll probably be able to. I'll have a better idea by the end of the weekend, but most likely some of next week.
All right. Well, that works for me. I was reading a comment. I was Reality was saying, "Tag me in when you leave, and you can tag me back daily." So I don't know if they're suggesting they want to be up on screen while you leave. But I was just reading that and I got distracted for the moment. B Randy, by the way, says, "Hey Den and Da, hope everything's going well tonight." So Jason Estes, we haven't forgot you. How are you doing today in your lounge area?
Well, hello, Den. I'm doing great, man. Are we live? You guys know how I roll? Okay, hold on.
That's going to be the new thing. Are we live? I got to take my.
Do we have over 200 people? Did you say on the beginning of this?
Yeah.
Live
I don't know what happened, but we started out super strong tonight.
Well, the people that don't know this case, real quick, and even the people that do, remember, this is the only case you'll ever find, I believe, that supposedly 4 people were murdered, 2 left alive, delayed 911 call. And you'll find out, my friends, of course, as the guests know, wait a sec, there was no body bag seen. There was no cell phone camera footage, no security footage of this so-called crime. And the neighbors didn't even apparently see this crime, and no coroner van seen. I mean, it is absolutely wild. I love when we talk the Idaho 4. And of course, as Lee's going to tell you, Devil's Advocates, we talk about other crime cases as well.
You know what's funny? I had that video that kind of, for us, kind of went a little viral on the "What if only 2 people died?" It was playing along with your theme that maybe nobody died. And I said, "Okay, I'll meet you literally halfway. What if half the people died and half didn't?" What's funny is I got a news story today, and I'm sure many people who follow this case know the news story, but they don't know how I'm going to relate it to the whole "what if only 2 people died?" and what if this news story also tells us something about that. So I'll cover that in a little bit as we get into Idaho 4.
Hello,
again,
Robin. Excuse me, Joe and Lee.
Yeah.
I didn't say all your names. I apologize. But you know,
Well,
the Den means that, right? I guess, doesn't it?
they know you're an asshole, so they weren't really too worried about that. No big deal. All right, so I'm going to put my slides on screen for a moment. Again, my graphics are handily worked out by Amanda B. She does great work for us, and I'm going to feature her in a moment on our website as well. Tell you a little bit about the show and the format for tonight. We're doing nightly lives, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You should know that you're here right now, but we're going to keep trying to do this on a consistent basis every 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every night, with the possible exception of Sundays, which I will take off to play cards with some friends and just take a one night break. That's all I get. I give myself one night. Look at that. So it's State of the Deep was saying he's going to have his channel. I was like, hey, look, somebody's going to launch your channel. It's Joe. Yes, Joe. We're talking about getting your channel launched. So let me talk a moment about the chat etiquette. So last night in particular, we had a little dicey stuff going on to the chat. It looked like some people started fighting. And by the way, I think, now I didn't watch all of what happened. All I know is that stuff was going on and people were getting timed out. My mods are doing that for me because I asked them to please keep the fighting and the bickering down to a minimum. By the way, we use a very graded approach. So everyone's allowed a bad night. So if you come in and you're having a bad night and you're a little pissy, we'll give you a warning. Say, hey, tone it down. Be respectful. If you can't do so, you'll get a light timeout. You'll be timed out for a couple minutes or something like that. If you can't do so after that, you might get yourself banned from the rest of the live. If you keep coming in night after night doing the same shit, you'll be banned from the channel. So it's very graded. Don't get yourself in trouble a bunch of times in a row. We give you a little latitude. You are always welcome to disagree with me. You're always welcome to argue a little bit, but be respectful in your argument. Try not to call each other names. And by the way, I think what happened, and Robbie, you don't have to confirm this, but I think what happened was, I've pointed out before, I am not a political person, but you can't talk about the Charlie Kirk case, which is one of the cases that I do talk about, without getting into politics, because it involves the potential of government cover-ups, government involvement. Is it a government assassination? Does it involve the White House? Is there cover-up of embarrassments in the White House? And you can't talk about that topic without getting into politics. And I think Part of the eruption that happened last night was somebody didn't like me saying something unfavorable about Trump. This is not a political show. If I talk shit about a politician, it's because it's the politician who's on canvas at the moment. I'll talk shit about the opposite party's politician when that opportunity arises. And I'm an equal opportunity shitter on politicians, is what I'm saying. So it's not a political show. I call out bullshit when I call bullshit, and both parties have bullshit. So one more time, be respectful to each other in the chat, and understand that if you get a timeout, it's your warning. Chill, relax. Try to tone it down a little bit, because if you come back right after being timed out and you do it again, you're going to get timed out longer and or kicked out of the show for the rest of the night. And if you keep doing it, repeat offender, you'll just be gone. And I support my mods making that decision on our behalf to keep the chat civil. So again, enough said on that. All right, let's go back to some of the slides. The panel format I've explained. Joe maybe taking off and getting his show launched, so we may see him a little bit less. We will eventually have more and more opportunities for calling guests. We're trying to work that out. In fact, we were talking, Jason Estes and I were talking from Estes Crime Maze about when are we going to start taking call-ins, right, Jason? You're asking that me earlier.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to some interesting phone calls, and I might have some people set up to make a phone call. No, I don't. It'll all be spontaneous.
Well, and if we do it, like I said, at first I was thinking, I planned on doing it on a night when we didn't have a full panel, but we always seem to have a full panel. Because if we have at least 4 people, I don't know if we have room for random guests to come on. But on one of those nights when there's just Robin and I was what I thought was. But Jason made a good point. We can always have people who are just a disembodied voice talking and asking questions, and the whole panel can interact with our guests. So maybe we'll give that a shot very soon. Hell, I don't know, maybe tonight. I don't know. Robin, if you want to post the link, we can try it tonight. Although I have a lot of topics on tap, so we'll get back to that. So special guests, from time to time, I may have a special guest in which I might ask my panel to take the night off because I'm going to have a special guest on a live. That may happen. And from time to time, I will do collaborations with others. A lot of times I think the collaborations are going to be pre-recorded shows that we premiere, but I've got a collaboration in the works right now. I'm excited to tell you about it, but I personally want to make sure that collaboration goes down before I say anything, because I'm one of those guys that don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. So until I see it happen, I'm going to keep it a little on the down low. Once it's in the bag and they're good with what we have, I'll tell you all about it. And I'm excited to show that as a premiere. They're going to premiere it. I'm going to premiere it. We're both going to be there live to interact with the audience. So it should be good. Yeah, Robin, did you have something?
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm still having that technical issue, but I'll be back. You'll just have to let me up to the stage again. That's all.
All right. So before I start introducing some things, I want to show you real quick my new website redesign. So this is devilsadvocates.info. Again, the graphics are by Amanda B. A lot of that, almost every graphic you see on there, the cool logos. Even if you look now, there's really cool text for each one of the tabs of the cases that I cover. I'm going to go over those cases in just a moment. It's actually flames. They're on fire. Those words are on fire. It's badass when you look at the page. Really great shit. Amanda and I spent some time last night working on the website. Love the way it's looking. Hope that you do too. I'm making it more and more useful. Like, for example, this is an example of some inside pages. There's the Idaho 4 page. If you click on Brian Kohberger, you get the Idaho 4 interactive timeline with this devilish little dude holding Brian Kohberger's name up there. And then on there, you'll have an interactive table where there's 4 theories that I'm running through. Each column represents a different theory. Sometimes the same piece of information will appear on all 4 theories. Sometimes it'll be slightly revised of here's how that fits with this particular theory or that particular theory. So really cool shit. We got a Charlie Kirk timeline that's not half built, it's probably a quarter built, but it's there available in live. Luigi Mangioni's new page will go up soon. There's the old page there featured right now. So all of the cases have a page that's there, but we're moving towards this new look, which is the interactive timelines. A lot of data. I encourage you to help build that. If you're looking at my timeline and you think I missed a major key piece of information, and right now there's a lot missing, trust me. But even so, send me an email at devilsadvocates2024. Let me know, hey, you really should put that into your, June 3rd, 2021 time slot and add this in there. And I'll consider it. Doesn't mean, again, at the end of the day, what I'm presenting is my best theories. So you may not have a theory that I think that goes into, but we'll see. All right, my cases that I follow. For those who are unfamiliar with my show, Brian Kohberger, Idaho 4. Yes, we're still talking about Idaho 4. So there's the thing. And we're going to talk about it a bit tonight as well. Tyler Robinson, it really should be labeled, and I need to fix the slide on this. It's Charlie Kirk. He's the bigger name. I'm not sure Tyler Robinson did that. I think most of us on our panel are really skeptical about whether Tyler Robinson is actually the shooter. We might as well call it the Charlie Kirk case, because that is the big thing. Silence Chain said the graphics look sick. Thank you so much, and thank you to Amanda B. So and she's the again the impetus of all that stuff. So thank you, Amanda, for that. Robin's back on stage, so I'll put her up on the screen with us.
I see a comment. The devil looks like Joe without glasses. Somebody else asked, what time is it in Canada? If I may just answer that, because I'm in Canada, born on Canada Day, July 1st. It's a lot of fireworks on my birthday. Doesn't make me any more important, but it is just after 9 p.m. Eastern here in Canada.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for that. And again, so the last two cases that cover Rex Heuermann, and that's the Long Island serial killer, the alleged Long Island serial killer. We got a little bit of news about him today. And Mickey Steins, the judge who shot. Oh yeah. So somebody said Nitty Witty wants to know where in Canada. You just said East Coast, but you don't have to tell her exactly, but you can if you want.
See, I already know. I'm in Ontario. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah.
All right. So I know we got one coming, but let's talk now, if you guys don't mind, about some Bryan Kohberger news. Now, I will tell you this. I am flying by the seat of my pants on my own shows. I'm literally putting together the slides minutes before. My team, my panelists will say, are you going to let us know what the talking points are for the night? Fuck, I don't know what the talking points are for the night. I'm still working that out. By the way, I need to get the parental advisory off of Robin's face. How rude. There you go, Robin. Now you don't have the parental advisory. You should know, if you come into my show, that parental advisory, how'd that go again?
Parental advisory.
No, it's
no.
Parental discretion is advised.
There you go.
That is it. All right. Parental discretion is advised. You watch my show, get the young ones out of here. I will drop more than one F-bomb in a given night for sure. And I will also have some sexual innuendos, and I will also act like a toddler or a 15-year-old, depending on my mood. I am a child at heart. I never grew up. All right. Let's talk about Bryan Kohberger's case. So here's the big news. And remember, I teased Jason Estes about what if this is another telltale how many people died? The family of Bryan Kohberger's victims is suing Washington State University to seek accountability. And I want to pull up, if I'm lucky, the right page, the right stuff. Bum, 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 bum. All right, here we go. That's on screen. Family of Bryan Kohberger's victims suing Washington State University to seek accountability. Guess who's suing? The Gonsalveses. Kaylee Gonsalves' family is suing Washington State University, where her killer, Bryan Kohberger, was studying for his doctoral degree. News Nation's Brian Enton has reported. By the way, that lawsuit, I believe, is $400 million, nearly $500 million that the Gonsalveses are suing WSU for. And at this point of the page is only listing the Gonsalveses. Guess who else has added to the lawsuit? It's going to be Maddie Mogen's family. So it's just Kaylee and Maddie's family. How interesting when I was saying, man, if I'm going to meet you halfway, Estes, what if it was possible only Kaylee and Maddie died? And maybe that's the only reason why only two families are suing the university for the deaths, because only two of them died. They're the only two families suing the universities. Once again, the other families seem to be a little moot. So I don't know at the end of the day that I even buy that theory, but it was super interesting that only two families are joining the lawsuit. And this is two I named that may have actually lost kids when the other ones may have not in some weird alternate reality. So here's the statement from the Gonsalveses. We filed this lawsuit to seek accountability and transparency from Washington State University, their attorney Shannon Gray said in a statement to Enton. Our goal is to understand what went wrong, to ensure that no other family endures the same tragedy, and to honor the memory of those who are lost. We trust the legal process to uncover the truth. Thought we knew the truth. Bryan Kohberger said, I did it alone. So uncover what truth? The argument is the truth that they want to uncover is what the university knew and let happen, because they're going to argue the university said, hey, we knew this guy was creepy. One professor even said, this guy's probably going to end up being a killer someday. Therefore, they let it happen. Therefore, we're going to sue the university with big pockets. But is that what they're saying? Or is there something more to it when they say, we want to uncover the truth? And they're not making any further public comments. By the way, how much money do you put on the Gonsalveses not making any further public comments during the lawsuit? But anyways, that's just me. for what it's worth.
They don't
And
shut
then-
up, so
Right?
shut up.
As Inquirer has previously reported, 13 people at nearby WSU in Pullman has logged formal complaints against the former criminology grad student who stalked female students months. I love it. Here we're back to Brian Kohberger was stalking women again, even though they told us there's no evidence of his stalking women. But now we're back to saying he was stalking women, and there's 13 accounts of him stalking women. According to the police documents, a staff member told authorities that she initially assumed Kohberger was just socially awkward, but she eventually realized that his alleged outspoken discriminatory comments in front of classmates and professors in and out of the classroom were homophobic, ableist. What the hell is that word? Ableist? Oh gosh, I have a pretty good vocabulary. Like $1 million if somebody can tell me. Xenophobic and misogynistic in nature. Students have even kept a running tally of his discriminatory comments. He would also stare at people and stand uncomfortably close or lean over, making women feel uncomfortable, staff members told police. One woman complained that he was physically cornered her, while others complained that he blocked their exits. Of course, and I told you this before, once he becomes convicted, once he's accepted the plea deal, now we can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want with impunity because he's already admitted guilt. So now you can say all the things that have already been debunked and say them over and over again because nobody's going to have a trial to prove you otherwise. I just wanted to add a little bit further down, I think, is here. Gray filed tort notices on behalf of the Gonsalves family, as well as the Laramie family, Mogan's mother and stepfather, against WSU in May. So again, it's the Gonsalveses and the Mogan's family that are making the lawsuits. The others have remained silent. They've also filed tort notices against the University of Idaho and the Idaho State Police and the city of Moscow. So they're suing everybody that has any kind of financial budget in this state. So they're gonna sue WSU, U of I, Moscow Police, Idaho State Police. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about that so far?
Go ahead, Joe.
I mean, I think it's it's a money grab. Lawyers probably said, hey, what do we have to lose? And we file this lawsuit. If you win, you make millions. If you lose, you lose. I mean, it's I'm sure it was, motivated by a lawyer. It certainly sounds like something that a lawyer would do. And look, I mean, this case is so crazy. Nothing would surprise me at all with this case. I oftentimes think a lot of these high profile things like filing a massive lawsuit could also be just done as a distraction. Because people are still talking about other aspects of the case. So if you give the media something else that they can report on, they'll jump all over it, and a massive lawsuit gives them something to talk about.
Another thing that I thought was interesting is Pavarotti, I think, weighed in on this issue, and he had an interesting comment that I thought I'd ask your opinions about. He hinted at, is it possible, and I'm going to put the slide up for my wording, it's a $400 million lawsuit, I believe. Could it lead to overturning a conviction? And here's the logic on that. Now WSU and potentially U of I have a $500 million to lose. So do they now have to, is there pressure on them to say, you know what, wait, maybe Brian Kohberger wasn't the guy in the first place, and therefore we're not culpable for anything because he wasn't the guy. So is there any kind of scenario in your mind where they're suing the university for $500 million? They can come back and say, you know what, maybe we were all lied to. Maybe Kohberger wasn't the guy, and therefore it's not our fault. You're going after the wrong guy. Sue the federal government, sue somebody else, but not us because maybe they did have the wrong guy. Is there any scenario where you think that's plausible?
I don't know, man. If it's an operation, that means they're all in on it in some way, shape, or form, or aware of what's going on. So it's very hard to say what's real and what's not at this point. So, I mean, if it's authentic, if the lawsuit is authentic, then yeah, I would say that the schools would have a lot to lose and be more motivated to push back. But they've kind of backed themselves into a corner with all the narratives about Kohberger, right? Because they've gone along with it. Nobody from the school ever stepped up to try to take Kohberger Kohberger's side or to refute some of the rumors about him. So if this is all, let's just hypothetically say that this is all real. They really believe Kohberger's the guy. It's not an op. Then, you know, the school, they've painted themselves into a corner, you know, or early on, all throughout this case, by going along with a lot of the rumors and never really confirming any of the, or denying any of the information that was coming out about him. So, but that's just assuming that it is all authentic, right? If it's an op, this is all a dog and pony show. Distractions, man. Lawsuits make great distractions.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take a moment to put on screen a poll for people real quick. Let me see if I can do this. Start a poll. I'm gonna do this. Do you think the $400 million $400 million lawsuit against WSU will lead to truth coming out in this case that will change the verdict? Ooh, that's too long. Can't. It says that's too long. Okay, how about I just leave it? Will it lead to truth coming out in this case? Period. Yes or no? Let's start that poll and see what kind of rolls on that.
Distraction and extraction. Distraction, extraction. I should have guessed that the families would file lawsuits. I'm upset with myself that I can't predict these things.
11, we got 13 votes, and we're voting about 75%. No, it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to lead to any truth coming out in the case. 80% now with 14 votes say no, it's not going to make a difference or lead to any truth coming out in the case. Anybody else want to take a minute? 15 votes, 80%. Nope, not going to make a difference in the case. No truth's going to come out. New truth's going to come out in the case. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that they think there is truth. These people who are saying no, it's not going to change anything, probably they're not necessarily saying there is anything. They could be like, hey, the truth did come out. There's nothing new to be changed because there's nothing to come out. So I think what they're saying at the end of the day is you know, regardless what it is, the lawsuit's not going to change anything. 16 votes, we got 80%. So good enough. That was a quick straw poll to see how people feel about that. Any other comments you guys have about what do you guys think about what do you guys make of only the Gonsalveses and the Laramies, the Maddie Mogan's family are the ones that are joining the lawsuit and not the others?
Well, the Chapins are probably going to make bank from Othram Labs. So that's kind of significant right there. And I don't know if Xana's, you know, I don't know what the situation is now with Xana's family. I know they had some legal issues. So that might come. That could still happen. You know, there could be lawyers approaching them day and night right now to get them to file suit. So I would expect that at some point they would probably file suit because there definitely will be lawyers reaching out to them, unless they just want, let's just go with your theory, DA. Hypothetically, of course, all speculation, that Maddie and Kaylee were the only two who died, right? In that case, if Ethan and Xana were alive, this is all speculation, they maybe wouldn't want to draw any more attention to them. If their kids were really alive somewhere, you know, you'd kind of want to just stay in the background and let sleeping dogs lie, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm really, and you know, it's funny because we have attorneys on this show from time to time, so I want to be careful how we say this, but you made the comment about, well, I bet, you know, lawyers started this process. What do you guys think? Do you think lawyers went to the Gonsalveses and said, man, you guys are sitting on a pile of money, you need to go after these people and I'll represent you? Or did the families reach out to the lawyers and say, hey, can we hold somebody accountable? Like, does anybody have any thoughts about who you think started that process?
I think the families are totally controlled by higher ups, whether it be lawyers in this process, certainly the feds with a lot of the narrative I believe they're pushing. And I mean, you have to be so naive, I believe, to believe Steve G. Again, I remember I just watched a recent video. I told Lee before we did the show, but he's all about Brian Kohberger's weak. he's inferior. As Leah said, that the narrative, he's an incel. Brian Kohberger couldn't get it up, was jealous of the girls. And this is literally like the narrative that Steve G is seemingly trying to convince the public. So with them filing the lawsuits, as you know, Joe, Robin, and DA, that the Steve G's and Christy G, they did most of the speaking. They're the ones that are in charge of putting, I believe, this highly emotionally charged narrative. I mean, obviously, it is a highly emotionally charged narrative if you believe even the students were really legitimately killed. But so they need the focus to be on Steve G and Christy G, I believe. And any money they receive, if they're successful with the lawsuit, that'll go to the Mogans, I believe, anyway. Speculation, but I think they're all in it together. And so many questions about this case, but I think I got it figured out largely. And that path. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Well, I've kept 1-1 joined us a little bit ago. It's funny, like I'm trying to figure out how people know that 1-1 joined, because as soon as he joined, all of a sudden people were talking about 1-1. I'm like, he's not even on stage. How'd you know he joined? But 1-1 is sitting backstage and apparently has a fan base. So let's stick him. Oh, what did I just do?
Right.
Hold on. Failure. Wow. All right, let's bring him up on stage. Am I back? Oh, I'm not back. Oh my God, look at me. 1-1, are you there?
Hello, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Den. Hi, Essie. Hi, JJ. Hi, Robin. Hi,
What's up, 1-1?
Lee.
Hello.
How is everything?
Great.
Well, if I didn't have technical difficulties, it'd be fantastic.
I just got really blurry. Am I blurry to you guys too?
No, you're drinking. You're drinking.
Yeah, you're drinking.
Does my picture look blurry to you guys?
Yeah, you're
bit.
blurry.
I'm
You look a
telling
little
you.
blurry.
And DA disappeared completely.
Yeah, Esty looks naked in my view.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well,
What happened?
What
happened? Yeah.
I was just gonna say, while you're dealing with that, I just wanted to say, the Gonzalez's already have a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I would not doubt that Shannon Gray would have advised them that, hey, you have a case here. So let's explore that. So they were already kind of a step ahead of the game, so to speak. And I have a hunch that Mr. Gray may have had something, and maybe the G's were the first ones to even go this route. So that's my thoughts on that.
Well,
All right, here's the deal. Hold on.
Yeah.
Before you get too far, I got to fix my technical difficulty, and I'm terrified because I think if I'm going to show up on camera anymore on my own show, I'm going to have to leave the studio. I'm not going to hit the end stream button, which killed the show last time on Joe. That would be horrible. But I'm going to leave my own studio.
No,
what?
Lee, wait a minute. I can't control anything. So I can't let you back up on stage because I'm on my.
I should be able to bring myself back up on stage because I'm not going to.
Okay.
This will be awesome. We're going to lose 250 people in a heartbeat, but I got to get my camera back on, and I can select my camera, but I can't turn it back on, which is pissing me off to no extent. All right, everybody, if I just kill the feed, forgive me. It was nice seeing you. What a great night. I'm an asshole. I'll be back.
Hey, while DA's getting sorted out, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Now, you guys in the panel all know this about me, but and a lot of people in the chat probably do as well, but some people may not. I'm a big picture person, and I look at things from there he is. He's back already. From a bigger picture. So a lot of times we all kind of throw things around. And my perspective is often, especially on cases like this, Idaho 4, Charlie Kirk, Luigi Mangione, those three especially, I tend to be more conspiratorial. I know Essie's Crime Maze is too, but yeah. I look at sort of the big picture. So sometimes it's hard for me to comment really in detail about documents and things like that. While I do get familiar with them, because if it's an operation of some kind, that would imply that most of the documents are just toilet paper, basically. So just to preface, so you understand, where I'm coming from, and my State of the Deep channel dives much, much deeper into that type of stuff.
So I'm glad that I fixed my technical issues. And it looks like my green screen's working. And by the way, when I pick up my drink to drink, look at that. What the hell? What is that? What is that?
That's great.
Yeah, like I can almost replace my face with this double red face. It's kind of, anyways, kind of cool. Green screen for the win. But I wanted to share with you a new thought. Now, I'm a little hesitant to do this, but I stumbled across a video, and I think actually one of my own team sent me a summary of this video, and I'd never heard of this creator. So I'm kind of vouching for, I don't know if I'm vouching for a creator. I just want to spotlight a creator that I watched a video of theirs, and I thought this person's pretty cool. And I want to show you a little bit about their stuff real quick. So I'm going to see if I can pull that up on screen and do that and add. Ooh, I have to, when I logged myself out, I'm no longer sharing my screen. So how about that and that? All right. So True Crime PhD is the channel. She had a summary that I thought had some really cool points. And I'm going to play a little clip of her video to show you. There was a crime scene photo that she's dissecting that has a lot of blood from the Idaho case, a lot of blood. And I'm thinking, I don't think I've seen this photo with that much blood in it. And she's breaking down the blood on the crime scene photo that I'm not sure I've seen that photo. So anyways, she pointed out that in the documents we see no Kohberger's hairs. None of Kohberger's hairs were on the victims or at the scene. None of the victims' hairs were in Kohberger's apartment. The dog hair that was collected in Kohberger's apartment did not match Murphy. There's no trace evidence linking Kohberger. You might say, yes, there's a single source trace DNA on the snap, but that's it. But the point being is that she has this added point. In high contact crimes, meaning it's close to close, knife fighting, punching in the face, stabbing, you're in close contact. Investigators often expect measurable transfers of hair, fibers, clothing, fibers of your clothing. So you can argue, oh yeah, he just had a whole like suit on. Those suits shed fibers. There was nothing at all. Clothing fragments, pet hair, nothing that transferred either direction between Kohberger or the victims. I still fundamentally don't understand why we're not concerned more how a person can brutally destroy 4 lives that violently and not leave any of their DNA at the scene minus one tiny speck, literally smaller than what can be seen with the naked eye at the crime scene. Before I move to the clip that we're going to play of her, did you have any comments of those kind of statistics?
Yeah, I got something to add in there. Along the lines of what you're saying right there. A big point, I think we've talked about it many times. I think we mentioned it yesterday. The car as well, right?
Right.
If this is their, besides the touch DNA on the snap or whatever it was on the knife sheath, their big smoking gun, right, was the white Hyundai Elantra. That's their big thing. This was Kohberger's car. This was there. He was driving around. He went around the crimes. He drove around the house a million times, and he did this and he did that. They did test his car. You're telling me that he did all this stuff. He stabbed each victim 50 times. There's a dog running. There's a dog that's maybe wasn't there at the time, but just because Murphy wasn't in the house at the time, if whoever was there, you still got all the dog hairs, right? So you're telling me all this stuff happened, everything, all this blood, all this DNA. These people stabbed 50 times and not one little hair, not one trace of DNA, nothing is found in his car. Right. Very, very interesting. Very interesting point.
And for those who don't know, because we didn't really formally introduce 11. 11 is NYPD, over 20 years experience in law enforcement, currently still employed as NYPD, not representing NYPD. We make that clear every single time. He is not here representing anything related to NYPD, but he works in the most famous of law enforcement departments in the world. And so we bring him on and love getting his insights on law enforcement. It's one of the special things our channel has. Proud to have him, excited to have him on the show as an advisor, law enforcement advisor to the show. So thank you, 11, for weighing in and giving us those insights as well. Now I want to play you a clip from the True Crime PhD, and it seems to me to have a photo that I'm not sure I've seen before, and she's breaking it down in detail. It's about a 5-minute video. I may play most of it, or maybe I'll just play enough to get us the idea, but I want you to see the quality of the photo and the discussion, because I think it's worth it. So I'm going to put it on stage. I'm going to make it, I'm going to leave us on stage as well. I'm going to blow it up as big as I can, and I'm going to play it hopefully with sound. Please let me know really quickly with a yes or something like that if you hear the sound. Hold on.
Welcome back to True Crime PhD.
Yes.
I'm Trinity, and today we're going over some more detailed images from the Idaho 4 Brian Kohberger case. I'm assuming this is an unredacted version. Passive drops and pools. Dominant pattern. The largest stain is a pool on the carpet directly in front of the table, with feathered edges indicating it spread from a single drip source rather than high-velocity impact. Smaller passive drips trail from the table edge to the floor, suggesting blood fell vertically from a height of 2 to 3 feet, consistent with a seated or kneeling source. Inference. This points to a low-energy bleeding event, like oozing from a wound rather than projection. Volume estimate. 50 to 100 milliliters based on pool size, enough for moderate arterial or venous bleeding, but not exsanguination. On the wall, a broad smear, about 6 inches wide, at approximately 2 feet high, with embedded fabric fibers from the pink material. Adjacent small voids, unstained areas, suggest something, e.g. a body part, was pressed against it. On the pink fabric, saturation with drag marks, as if it was used to staunch bleeding or wrapped around a wound. Inference, contact transfer from a bloody surface, skin, clothing, or hand, sliding or pressing against the wall and fabric. Indicates close quarters struggle or victim attempting to steady themselves. Medium velocity impact spatter, secondary pattern, fine droplets, 1 to 4 millimeters, on the wall and tabletop, with tails pointing downward and slightly outward.
What do you guys think so far? Keep rolling it, because is this good or no?
Yeah, I never saw this photo. I've never seen this photo.
Where this is a little bit
Where
more
did
on
this?
that.
Yeah, I don't know where this
Right?
came from.
Sure, so
Right?
it doesn't come from mainstream media.
I'm looking at this photo and I'm like, well, there's a fucking crime scene. Like this
Right.
is, where did we see all the clean crime scene photos? This is a crime scene photo. This is
Yeah.
a little closer to what we would expect. All right, let's
Right.
continue to listen to her analysis.
Angle approximately 60 to 80 degrees from horizontal. Directionality. Most spines, tails, converge toward the floor pool, suggesting origin from a point approximately 2 to 2.5 feet above the ground, offset 6 to 12 inches from the wall. No high-velocity mist, e.g., gunshot residue, or cast-off arcs visible. Inference. Likely from a blunt force or stab impact causing blood to atomize at 5 to 25 feet per second. Could be from a fist, elbow, or knife thrust, dispersing blood on contact. No expirated or arterial spurts. Absent. No linear gush patterns or bubbling, indicative of coughing, breathing blood. Inference. Wound not involving major airways or high-pressure arteries like the carotid. Most likely, laceration or stab wound, medium velocity mechanism. The mix of passive pooling and impact spatter aligns with a sharp-edged or pointed implement example is a knife, broken glass, penetrating soft tissue, causing initial spurting followed by dripping. Torso or upper thigh, based on stain heights, 1 to 3 feet. A single deep laceration, 4 to 6 inches, could produce this volume without cast-off. Alternative. Blunt force trauma, e.g. repeated strikes with a heavy object, but less likely due to lack of linear cast-off trails. Wound class, non-projectile, no gun-related mist, possibly defensive. Smear patterns suggest victim raised arms, hands. Severity, moderate. Victim survived initial impact long enough to move. Smears indicate mobility, but lost significant blood. Pool size. No signs of prolonged struggle, e.g., widespread distribution. Victim positioning and movement. Initial position, seated or kneeling against the wall, table, facing slightly away toward the room center. The low wall stains and table drips suggest the body was slumped low, with the wound oriented downward, gravity-fed pooling. Sequence of events, victim positioned near table, perhaps sitting on floor, back to wall. Assault occurs. Impact spatter hits wall/table as blood ejects forward/upward. Victim slumps or slides down. Transfer smear on wall from shoulder/arm. Pink fabric grabbed/pressed to wound. Bleeding continues. Drips from elevated wound, e.g., if arm raised. Form pool on floor. Post-incident movement, minimal. Stains are localized to a 3 by 3 foot area. Victim likely remained in place or crawled less than 1 foot drag on fabric. No trail away from scene. Body orientation, prone or semi-prone, chest down at end, with head toward the cords, right side of image. Height of stains rules out standing, would show higher projection. Time since incident seems
Amanda says, hold, please. You're concerned about the image. It's almost done. We're almost done. I feel like let's just finish it out and then we can talk all about this. Hold on.
Stage, man.
shows short time frame, roughly a few hours, based on no drying edges or skeletonization in pool. Environmental factors. Carpet absorbs some blood, muting patterns. Low light in image hides UV reactive details, example luminol testing. Limitations. This is 2D photo analysis. 3D scanning or on-site measurement would refine angles. No DNA/tools visible, but fabric could yield contact evidence.
So let's stop for a moment and address the comments. AI. Yeah, it is very likely a person who's written notes about the crime scene that's very detailed about spatter and atomization of blood and blah, 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 blah. And they're using an AI voice to repeat the voice, especially if they don't want it knowing who did it or whatever the case may be. What I would say is that an AI is reading it, a voice does not mean that that's not legitimate stuff. That sounded like pretty legitimate stuff. That's the kind of discussion we should be having. Is that what the crime scene showed? I'm going to make an appeal right now to all of you. Go download the crap out of this person's videos before they pull it off of the internet, because this is probably going to disappear really quickly. So I don't know how they got the photo. Blow up their page, give them some love, but do it after you get the videos.
that looked like the first authentic kind of crime scene picture or video that I've seen in this whole case.
Amanda B just said there were no carpet in any of the rooms.
Yeah, so,
thank you,
Amanda's saying it's an AI image. So did we get duped right here?
Thank
I mean,
you,
again,
Amanda.
that looked like a crime scene to me. But
it looked like it, but I bet Amanda's right in my books. That woman and her analysis, that was pretty interesting. I think she makes Henry Lee looks like a novice the way she described the blood spatter. Henry Lee would be, let's say, proud of her. I think, but
we're gonna have to check the photos that we have.
Let's stop for a moment. Let's stop for a moment. Did they pull the carpet? Did somebody pull the carpet in pictures that you've seen, or after the carpet's been pulled? Or did they take the carpet for analysis of the blood on the carpet, and people have seen photos without the? I mean, there's explanations that can still make the two straight. What I hear is a pretty good analysis, very, very detailed scientific analysis. So if it's AI and we've all been duped, we need to know. And my apologies if I was taking any part of that, because I'm going under the assumption that looked like the first crime scene photo I've actually seen.
Yeah,
so,
it did.
I don't know.
Took them 3 years to get that to us. Isn't that something?
I'd like to know where they got that photo, because where are all the other authentic photos?
Lucy Morningstar, I'm going to give you, if you're brave, I'm going to give you the link to join us on the show. If you want to just come on with voice, if you want to talk, you can get a lot more accomplished with voice. So let me, I'll put the invite in the chat. If you or anybody wants to refute that image as being an actual crime scene of footage, I will give you a link here, and you can come up and talk to us and the panel and make your argument for it. So let's do that in the chat. There should be a link there. Go ahead and click on that link. You can choose to turn on your camera or your microphone or both. I would prefer probably just the voice, but yeah, go ahead.
She said she doesn't do lives, but she said she'll send the photos to Amanda.
Okay, and I also put our email in the chat. If anyone has any photos or anything they want to send, they can send it, email it over to us, and we'll of course take a look at it and see what's what. But this is really, really interesting.
Hey, I had a question for one about that picture.
Yeah.
One, in your experience, how frequently or how often do actual like serious crime scene photos get leaked, like of bodies and things like that?
They do. They get leaked a lot. Maybe not so much of the bodies, but you would definitely the photos of inside the house and different things would get out.
Especially a
It's
high
just
profile case, right?
it merely makes you think about it, right? Because in this is a small town, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
everybody knows everything,
Right.
and we all heard rumors like really early on in the case, real early on, about people taking pictures and people around the campus knowing things. You know,
Right.
we all heard stuff like that, and so and especially after going there and seeing how small it really is.
Yeah. So wait, you're saying that it's just hard to believe that we never saw this photo before? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
I get what
exactly.
I get what you're saying. You would think there would have been a lot more, just some random different photos than the garbage that we got.
Yeah, I
So
mean, especially
somebody
if there's money being thrown around, you know.
somebody
Right.
asked who the creator was. This came from True Crime PhD. It's a YouTube channel. I think they've got 1.45 thousand subscribers as of today. So that's where the channel came from. So again, let me say, I usually don't like to air brand new stuff until I've vetted it. But when I saw this, it was right before the show notes, and I went, wow, that's the first time I've seen this photo. The scientific evidence sounded good. It seemed like it was a possibility. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it on the fly.
Right.
Maybe if I get once bitten, I'll be twice shy. So if it turns out that I've been duped, then so be it, and we'll make the correction. But that looked like a legit crime scene photo, and the analysis sounded like a legitimate analysis. So,
Well,
yeah. So go ahead.
Well, I see someone in the chat here. It's kind of correct, but not totally. Kimberly007, you're saying it's rare for crime scene pics to be officially released to the public due to strict laws, privacy concerns, and law enforcement regulations, but leaks do occur, especially in high-profile cases. That's not completely true. Once the case, remember, Kohberger pleaded guilty. The case is over. So the issue, once the case is over, there's he pleaded guilty. There is no trial. It's over. There's no investigation. You have every right. This isn't some like rare group, some hidden group does the investigation. This is it's the police department is doing the investigation. Sure, the FBI, we know the FBI, Homeland Security, whatever other federal agency was involved in that. That's a whole separate thing. But any crime scene photos, any interview are liable to be released by FOIA. Now, what they can do is they can say they don't want it distributed and broadcasted over YouTube and social media. That is correct. That is correct. But I have every right as a citizen. You have every right as a citizen to get any crime scene photo you want, including the bodies. People want to learn. Now, do I think that you should, do I agree with that? 100%. For the sake of the families and whatnot, there's no reason that we need to see the bodies, blasted all over. I can agree with that. But besides from like social media and, YouTube and whatever social media platform, you have every right as a citizen to get any photo, any interview, any part of the investigation. You put a FOIA request in, you have that right to know what went on and to see it.
You know, like I don't really want to see the bodies or anything like that. I was just curious. But when I was taking a forensic psychology course, we did dive into serial killers quite a bit, and I had never seen the really graphic photos from some of these crimes from serial killers. And in the actual materials we had for the class, they had the
Right.
crime scene photos of
Right.
like Dahmer, which were the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
gruesome. You know,
Yeah.
now I'm sure anybody can get them, but
Right.
up to that point, I had not seen them. And I'm not even a squeamish person, but some of them were just like insane how
Oh yeah.
gruesome they were. You know, insane.
But I
Well-
don't know why people, you know, it's unfortunate. Again, I guess it's, again, mainstream media. I don't know why people have this idea. They have this thing like, we don't have the right to see the photos. We don't have the right to see, to hear any interview. You absolutely do. It's, you know, this is where the argument comes in too. You know, people go back and forth. You know, any trial that goes on, you know, obviously certain trials, and you get certain public figures and whatnot, you know, about cameras and whatnot being in the courtroom, you know, certain, you know, rules and stuff have to be established. But really, that's almost like a gray area too. We have the right, really, to see any trial. We have the right to view it. So, I mean, from the start, where every little thing is redacted, and in fact, they even write, they try to hide even just the lawyers putting in a motion to unredact a certain file or a certain thing. Even that gets hidden. It's absolutely ridiculous.
By the way, DA, an interesting analysis from one there. The woman on that YouTube channel, I want you to keep this in mind. She sounds exactly the same as the woman from True Crime Design. And True Crime Design, I have a lot of questions about that person or that channel. I don't know if it's operated by more than one person, but that woman's voice, I don't know if she switched channels with lower subscribers, if she's trying to confuse the public, but they sound the exact same person in my view. I'd have to double check both channels.
Well, let me.
But thanks for playing.
Yeah, you bet. Let me make a quick appeal. One, I generally don't like showing things that I haven't vetted, but I thought this was worthy for discussion. Two, if it turns out in any way, shape, or form that it's faked, I will eat shit on camera and I will tell you all, my bad, I won't do that kind of shit again. It seemed like it was worth conversation, but I'll be more careful if I turn out to be wrong. However, I am going to run it. I'm not going to just take the first person who says you're wrong, here's a photo, and that proves you wrong. I'm going to have to check the receipts on everything now, because that photo looked to me like a legitimate crime scene photo. So I'm going to go for the moment that that's legit until you prove me wrong. However, I won't show it over and over again. We'll take a pause on it. If people are a little freaked out that we showed it, I apologize. Again, there wasn't a body in that image, but it was graphic. I probably should have warned you a little bit ahead of time. So one, apologies for those that I didn't give enough graphic warning that this is going to be difficult. Two, if it turns out to be wrong, I'll be the first to tell you, shit, I was wrong. Like, it looked legit. It sounded legit. We've got NYPD on here that said that sounded like a legit analysis. It looks like, and it sounds like a legit analysis. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But I will make the counterpoint to those who think it's disgusting that we want to see the crime scene photos. I'm sorry that you have a hard time if you're one of those people who thinks nobody should see the crime scene photos. A lot of people don't believe what happened the way they said it did. And until we see the photos, it doesn't fall under scrutiny. The fact that we aren't going to have a trial means that everyone's going to have to buy the bullshit narrative, which we don't think is true, because you'll never going to see the receipts. Some people want to see the receipts because we know it didn't happen the way that they said it did. So that's I mean, and not everybody's like that. If you're the person, for example, who says Kohberger's guilty, live it, love it, learn it. Great. That's you shouldn't be watching my channel, because we're going to question the story because we don't think that story happened the way that they said it did. End of story. I'm still convinced it didn't happen the way they said it did. Could Kohberger be guilty? 100%. Did he say he was guilty? 100%. Have I removed a little bit of his presumption of innocence? Of course, because he said he's guilty. Having said that, there's other reasons why people plead guilty to things in this country, and we're going to continue to ask, was he forced to a plea deal? Because that was not a fair trial. Almost everyone on my panel, almost everyone categorically on this panel says that trial was not a fair trial. It was a sham trial. So if he was guilty, they forced him into the guilty plea because he wasn't going to get a trial. He had no chance in the first place. But
well said, Lee. Once again, DA. Well said.
You know, one of the things I always go back to is the 911 call. Now, I know a few things in life, and one of them is human behavior. And that first person, I think it was Bethany, that was like, something happened in our house, and I don't know what. Was that Bethany?
I think it was.
Yeah. That's not how someone cries. That was fake. And everybody will say, oh, but you know, under trauma, you don't know how people are going to react. I understand that. But trauma doesn't make people sound fake. It does a lot of things, but it doesn't make people sound like they're acting. And I will say the reason I believe at least this much, I can't say I know the truth about the case because there's a lot of questions and a lot of theories. But if they had to clear stuff out of that house, that would explain the delay in the call. And that would also explain why they wouldn't tell why they waited 8 hours, right? If they had to clear stuff out of the house, they're not going to tell that to the public. So they have to make it seem like they're just finding out about this crime now, right? So that would explain some of the inconsistencies in human behavior of that 911 call, in my opinion.
But what are they cleaning up, Joe? Because they did they moved the boxes all out, of course, with North American Relocation Services. So you're referring to a cleanup of possibly blood, excrement they're cleaning up?
Well, my theory has been from day one is this is just speculation. My opinion is there were drugs in the house. And that I've said from day one that's either somebody in the house or someone connected to that house was involved with drugs. Not saying they were drug addicts. I'm saying they were involved with drugs, either dealing or someone they knew was dealing, and that was a party house, and they were using that house as their spot. And so I believe that whatever happened, they knew what happened, and so the 911 call delay was they had to if that call was real, they had to make it sound like they were freaking out. They were just finding out about dead bodies or someone passed out in the house. So that to me explains why they would have to make it seem like they didn't know what had happened the night before. Because how do you explain to the public, oh yeah, we waited 8 hours because we had to clean the house out? They're never going to say that. So that's kind of what I was getting at.
That's interesting.
You also hear no sirens either on that 911 call.
Yeah.
Right.
There's nothing. You hear no sirens, and I still go by. Again, I don't have the 100% proof. It's been, there's enough evidence out there, from Pav and whoever else, they've covered this a million times. I'm sure, we'll keep talking about it. Whatever the relationship was, I do believe Rosenthal and Tisdale were at that house somewhere between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And I do think that goes along with why was there a 9-hour, 8-hour delay of the 911 call? Because the police were already there. There were already MPD officers, whatever their involvement was, whether they're part of the homicide or whatever their part was, they were already there. That's what I believe.
I agree.
So I've got a couple of more things that I want to share on Kohberger, and then we got to move on to a different case because I do cover 5 cases, and we tend to only really have time for 2 or 3 in a night. So I want to kind of keep us a little on pace. I've been telling you for a while, if you give me a video and the timestamp of the Maddie bought a house, I'll play it. I know.
David, David.
I know.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. Maddie bought a what? All right. So I'm gonna give us a moment. Now, what I want to do is this is kind of a clipped out portion of a longer thing. So we don't have the full context, but we do have some of the context. I'm going to put it on screen here in a second. Get it with sound for us.
And
So
next
let me
time,
make sure-
DA, if the audience wants, we've got more of, as you say, there's more of an interview where Bubbly Waters plays, I believe, the entire interview. So it's not just a snippet. But thanks for playing it. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to put this on screen here and get you some sound with it. There, share, add to
This is
stage.
Christopher McDonough, the investigator interviewing.
All right. I believe we're going to have sound. Ready? It's going to happen quick. It's going to happen in the first few seconds of this clip. And try to listen to the context, and then we're going to talk about it as a group here, all right, on the panel.
Happened, her husband that could have been somebody, Jack or somebody else, her children, her babies, her first home that she bought, and so that is, it's not Maddie too, Maddie's wedding, Maddie having a baby, we would have been there for that, Maddie's husband, Maddie just bought a house,
These are generations that have stopped.
What? Did you guys just hear that? Look at Christy's hand.
All right. So that's the clip. I want to get you guys to weigh in before I give you my thoughts on it. So Estes, you've made that comment a million times. Did you hear Christy say Maddie just bought a house and stops herself midway? Let's give you the stage and run with this first. Tell us about it.
Well, thank you for playing it. Not only does she catch herself, she leaves the interview, and she, as one person has said, that she's probably texting her lawyer, and they're probably saying cut. That's speculation, but I think it was a slip. I think apparently you can buy a house, if my theory is correct, which I think it is, that they're in the WITSEC program or they voluntarily got out of the WITSEC program and they're living a beautiful life. And I think Christy just let it out there. Now, people will try to justify that, Lee, and maybe some of the guests on this show will try to justify it. And I can understand where some people will say, well, she was talking earlier about, the future, right? What they're missing out on, the wedding and stuff. But I don't know why you would still say Maddie just bought a house, as in house. So I think Maddie's bought a house personally. But I thought it was
any of the other panelists want to take a shot at that on what you think about it?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, I did say that last year I saw a girl multiple times over the course of a few months that looked a lot like Kaylee Gonzalez. Now, I know that I can't confirm anything, but it struck me, right? And I didn't want to I saw them like regularly. And so I didn't want to be like trying to take their picture, it's a small community. So I didn't want to be coming across as being weird, that might freak somebody out. But I did see somebody multiple times that looked a lot like Kaylee. And it made me, I'm like, did I just see? And then I was just like, no, it can't be. But I think that I agree with both sides of that argument. They could have been saying like, well, if, we missed out on when Maddie bought a house, when Maddie got married, when they had kids, this and that. But why would she cut herself off?
Right.
Maddie just bought a house.
Right. And
she cut herself off, and they acted weird after she said that.
Let me. A person asked, I want to see Steve's reaction, so I'm going to play it one more time. It did happen very fast. Now that we have a little discussion about it, let's play it one more time. I ask you to not only listen, if you can, to what's being said, but pay attention to body language. Watch what Christy does. Watch what Steve does. If we need to play it a third time, we will. Okay, you ready? Let's go.
I like listening to Bubbly's.
Her husband that could have been somebody, Jack or somebody else, her children, her babies, her first home that she bought, and so that is, it's not Maddie too. You know, Maddie's wedding, Maddie having a baby. You know, we would have been there for that. You know, Maddie's husband. Maddie just bought a house. You know,
These are generations
What?
that have
What?
They've-
Did you guys just hear that? Look at
All right, so there's the clip again.
Steve G, he didn't have much of a reaction. This guy he's got his emotions close to the vest, I think.
Yeah. He didn't really react too much.
I guess what I find rather telling is the fact that Christy gets up very quickly and goes out and obviously gets on the horn to her lawyer, unless it had already been set up ahead of time for Shannon Gray to get on this interview. And he's looking rather frazzled and not really all that well put together when he gets on there. So that's the thing to me, I think, that I find the most suspicious, is that all of a sudden Shannon Gray's there and he's looking like he either was gotten out of bed or whatever, but he's looking a little frazzled. So that's what's suspicious to me.
Yeah, I agree.
One, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Robin. If I could see the other side of the argument, you know, she's talking about, you know, oh, we're not going to get to see them get married and this and that. But the fact that she stopped herself kind of mid sentence and then just got up, and why wouldn't she just, you know, finish the whole statement? It is highly suspect.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more request to watch it one more time, so we'll watch it one more time and then we'll move on.
And then just Estes Crime Maze. Let's not forget to mention that other video.
We got to get it right, Joe. We got to get it right. She said, "We got to get it right."
Yeah,
I remember that video. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember her saying that right when they thought they were off camera, and she says, "We got to get this right." You know, she's like, "I don't know,
DA will
but we
set
got
that
to
up
get it right."
eventually for us, I'm sure. DA,
Yeah,
you're on man.
I remember that. All right, let's play this one more time for posterity. One more time.
happened. Her husband that could have been somebody, Jack or somebody else. Her children, her babies, her first home that she bought, and so that is, it's not Maddie too. Maddie's wedding, Maddie having a baby, we would have been there for that, Maddie's husband, Maddie just bought a house,
These are generations that have
What? Did you guys just hear that? Look at
And DA, oh, sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, and I love Bubbly's reaction through all this, because it was the first time I think that Bubbly, after hearing this oddity blurted out from Christy, the first time I believe first time Bubbly seriously thought about, and she asked it, are they in the witness protection program? And I think when you dig at this case, that is a natural reaction or question to ask, especially after Christy G blurted something like that out, not to mention all these other interviews and the way they act, my opinion there. But, yeah, it's fascinating, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys weighing in. I mean, and I kind of feel like I want to weigh in myself, but I don't want to counter you guys and make it sound like I don't think that what you guys
me off.
Right, I don't want to piss Jason Estes off. You're a boxer, man. You're getting trained for Pavarotti, and I don't have that kind of time. But I guess I'll give you my take anyways. I did not see the whole video. So when you guys talk about and all of a sudden Christy gets up and leaves and makes a panicked phone call, I don't have that context, right? I didn't roll past this moment because this was the part that I focused on for this discussion. But I will say two things. One, I hear them saying in context about the things that would have happened if they had lived their whole lives, like we'll never get to see them have babies, we'll never see them get married, we'll never see them get a house. So it feels like that's the context. And the part that bothered me the most about this is Christy, in my opinion, brushes her hair off of her face, and then they freeze the frame with her hand over her mouth, saying, as if they're trying to say, and look at her cover her face. You literally see her pull her bangs out of the side, and then they freeze when she comes back down here and made it sound or imply that she's like, oh shit, I just said that kind of thing. I don't see that in the clip. And if you need to see it one more time, we'll do that. So that's my only caveat, playing devil's advocates to the devil's advocates position. Was it a slip up? Is it weird? I acknowledge it's a little weird that she cuts herself mid-sentence and says a how and then stops. If she gets up and goes and makes a phone call, can you prove that she's calling a lawyer at that point, or is that speculation? I don't know. But what I see is I see her brush her hair out of her face. They were in context. They were talking about the things that they're not going to see going forward. So it's not I'm not busting your nuts, Jason Estes, and saying that wasn't a slip up, and to your argument, so that those people who don't understand what Jason Estes is saying is, if it was an extraction event and these people are still alive, yeah, she probably wouldn't have the name Maddie anymore, but maybe they still know that, hey, they're going on with life and they just bought a house and they know something about them. That's kind of the argument, is that they're still alive, they're still somewhere out there and life is going on for them. That would be the argument. But so I just wanted to share that. Thank you guys and thank you, Jason Estes, for bringing the clip to my attention so we can play it on air so everybody can see it, because we talked about it a lot. And I think it was important for people to see it with their own eyes. And Joe?
I just want to, before we close up with Idaho 4, if anybody out there in the den or anybody on the panel can find this video, because I had looked for it at different times and I wasn't able to find it. If you remember, very early on in the case, there was a guy on one of the media channels. He was like an either Navy SEAL or an ex-Green Beret. He was an ex-Special Forces guy who was in law enforcement, and he said on camera, I think he was talking about Steve G. He goes, I think he did it. And they cut him off really fast. And then you never heard a thing about that clip again. And I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes when it happened. And I watched their reaction to him saying that. And then you never heard anything about that video. And that guy never appeared on any other news channels. And I had looked for it, and I was not able to ever find that because I didn't remember the guy's name.
I think I heard that too.
Yeah, I saw it.
And if we can find that clip, we'll air it and we'll talk about it here. All right, before we close, because Joe was saying before we close, but there's one more slide, and that is I made a video. Well, I posted a video, the birdseed camera video. Now, here's the thing. There's a story behind this thing. Joe and I went boots on the ground, Moscow, Idaho, 3 years to the day of the murders. We drove around at night and we put some premiere footage on Birdie's show of that drive, and also on our channel of the drive at night. And we were going on and on about how tight everything was, how tight the buildings were, how close everything was. And it was a really profound experience. We had a dash cam video that was recording that was mounted on what we call the birdseed camera mount, which is right in the window of this shot right here. Now, this was it became a running gag because my ass loses shit all the time. Joe can attest. He's like, DA, how the fuck do you lose shit all the time? I lose shit all the time. So when I couldn't find the mount for the window, I was looking for a beanbag or anything that would hold the camera still on the dash, and I found birdseed. I put birdseed on the dash, and we joked about it all weekend long about and we'd be dropping F-bombs. The fucking birdseed camera thing is horrible. Now, Joe's holding my cell phone in one hand out the window, juggling the birdseed camera that's falling off the birdseed every time I take too sharp of a corner, and interacting with live chat as we're doing it. And it was a fucking full-time job. So exit later on, people are like, DA, do you have any footage in the day? Like, you guys literally just drove around at night and you didn't bother going by the neighborhood during the day? And I'm panicking because I'm like, where the fuck's my daytime footage? Robin comes in and says, well, you did that on a live. Like, you didn't shoot it with the dash cam footage. You shot it during a live thing with your phone. And I'm like, oh shit. So I had to go find it on the live. Then I found it and I'm like, fuck, that damn birdseed thing is right in my windshield. Now, here's the thing. As people are busting my nuts, that's shitty camera footage. What a piece of shit footage. That's all you got? Horrible camera work. I'm getting pissed off. I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, I'm getting angry because I'm like, we fought that damn birdseed camera all weekend long. It was a running gag. So I blasted back at a guy when he said, that's horrible camera. All you see is the birdseed thing. I'm like, dude, I was driving. I can't even do anything about it. I'm not the one running the camera. And Joe's like, well, thanks, asshole, for making me look like I'm a bad cameraman. I'm like, dude, you have no fault. You have no fault. That shit is all me. That birdseed camera shit was all me. Joe was managing 2 cameras, and the live chat for me while I'm trying to drive. So, Joe, I apologize that it came off looking a little bit like I'm blaming the cameraman. Hey, look, don't blame me. I'm driving. The asshole cameraman's the one that's the shitty coverage. That was a bit of a train wreck, and we didn't realize until we got back. Now, here's the good news before Joe has a chance to speak or whatever. I am going back to get new footage, and it's not because Joe sucks as a cameraman, because I realized we fucked up with the bird seat on the dash. I'm gonna go back and get that footage very, very soon. So we will have great footage during the day. Go ahead, Joe, if you want to comment.
Well, yeah, aside from the fact that DA lost his camera on our first day and was literally buying a brand new camera, and I said, no, dude. It's you have to have the camera. There's no way you just completely spaced out and lost the camera. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, I'm just going to buy this camera. I'm just going to buy another one. And sure enough, I went in and I found his camera in his bag. And so he almost spent another like $500 on another camera. But I found it. But I will say that I'm not sure which camera whether it was the camera or the phone, the day that we were filming when the guy was saying it was shitty camera footage. Because I don't know if I was using your phone or not. But, we're talking and we're driving, and, I didn't want to like stick the camera out the window. So I may not have given the best camera footage. I was trying to sort of get a balance between getting the key spots that we wanted to film and our commentary and stuff. I was distracted, full disclosure.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, you guys don't understand. Again, that neighborhood is way tighter than you can imagine. Everything is right on top of each other. And there's students that are walking around. And Joe and I are two clearly not college-aged guys driving around looky-loo with the camera hanging out the windows with that. The whole thing was a little stressful to us in the first place. Now, when I go there again on the ground, we're going to do it a little differently. And so we're going to try to get way better footage. But again, that's not the fault, Joe. That was we were doing it live. Joe and I were doing it live. And we do things live. Sometimes you get back later and you go, shit, we could have done that better. So again, forgive us for not doing 100% our best because we're learning this shit. We've never done that kind of shit. So we're learning on the fly. We're getting better every time. Maybe I'll mount 15 cameras on my car in every different place that can't be moved, and we'll just drive through there like freaking Google with the 360 cam on the hood of the car and just roll through there. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, it's a learning experience for all of us. I wanted you to know that, Joe, I wanted to apologize because when I get flustered at people busting my nuts, like after I get like the 30th comment to somebody busting my nuts, sometimes I lash out and I don't think super clearly as I said it. So I was more lashing out the guy like, fuck you, like quit busting my nuts about the footage. We were doing our best. Were you in Moscow, Idaho? That was kind of my attitude. Were you in Moscow, Idaho? You're going to bust my nuts because the camera footage has got a bird seed? Like, try to do it, So anyways, came off a little bad. I'm not busting your nuts as the cameraman, so I just wanted to air that out for everybody on the hat. And we will get better footage very, very soon, and we'll post that.
You guys, may I say, had too much damn fun between the camera footage, the bird seed, Joe's apparently pink panties nights. You guys rocked it out, and it was entertaining. Again, this is why it's the most entertaining, I believe, true crime channel out there, most thought-provoking. That being said, I have to go. Estes Crime Maze has got to get going. Got to help my sister out again. But thank you for allowing me to be here, share times with the amazing guests, and of course, our amazing audience. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the night. I hope some people might want to just bother checking out my channel at some point.
Thank you very much for coming again tonight. Did we lose Robin at the same time? But thank you, Jason Estes, and
thank you.
We'll catch you as soon as we can.
Thanks, Joe. 1-1, and have a great night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks like we lost Robin, and we got a new member too to the den. Crazy Italian lady 5518. Thank you for joining the. There's for those of you who are not members, there's tons and tons of great members content. Lee covers 5 cases, and he covers a ton of other stuff. There's the Deep Devils with him and JJ, and ton of content. He does book reviews, so there really is a little of something for everyone. So,
And there's a lot of footage. And again, I teasingly bust Joe's nuts for it, but it's not his fault. And I want to explain this. There's a lot of footage that is in the can that I want to show to you. But it's easy when you're in a car with somebody for 8-9 hours at a time to forget that you're having a personal conversation with a friend that you didn't necessarily mean for the entire world to hear. So as we got done and Joe's like, shit, were we live that whole time? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I've got a camera running the entire time. And he's like, well, you can't put that out there. And I'm like, in retrospect, I probably need to go back and listen to every piece before I post it. So that does slow it down a little bit. Not his fault. Again, it's the nature of the beast when you're putting a camera on and you get loose with your friend and you hang out and you say some shit and you're like, yeah, in retrospect, I probably wouldn't have said that for everyone to hear had I realized that we were just going to put raw footage out there. So there's what it is.
Well, it's when you're going long distances, you slip and you start talking about shit. Nothing too incriminating. Nothing too incriminating. Just,
you get a little punch drunk. All right. So here we go. I'm always testing how much our audience is just Idaho for. I'm going to transition us now to two of my other cases, one of which we're going to spend a little bit of time on, maybe 25, 30 minutes, maybe. And then we're going to end with a third case of mine. And maybe even a fourth, but those will be super fast. Here's what it is. We're going to go to Tyler Robinson next. This is the Charlie Kirk situation. Now, this is where shit went off the rails last time, because again, if you get a little, by the way, I played a video, I tried to, and one of the reasons why the whole studio looks different today is that I played a video and my laptop wasn't doing well with the buffering. I want to take another shot at playing the video that pissed everybody off last time. Hopefully I'll caveat it enough so that you guys will stay with it. But I think it pissed a lot of people off because people have their heroes and it didn't make their hero look so good. And so I want to take another shot to play it where we don't have buffering issues on my nice PC. So I'm going to do that. But in the meantime, I want to plug a couple things and I want to cover some stuff. This is my personal thing. What I want to do is I'm going to tell you really quickly why I believe Tyler Robinson most likely is not exactly what they say. He may not be the shooter at all. If he is the shooter, it's something much, much deeper. I've been doing a full book review on Joe's recommendation, One Nation Under Blackmail, a very deep, deep book talking about how the mob had basically gotten its fingers into the government a long time ago, blackmailed the head of the FBI, and has owned the government for a very long time. They make a compelling argument. This case likely has a lot to do with the Jeffrey Epstein case, in my opinion. I keep conflating the names. I call him Jeffrey Kirk or Charlie Epstein or whatever the case may be. Hey, look, I did that on purpose this time, not just by accident. But anyways, the Charlie Kirk assassination, I believe it has a lot to do with Israel. So I'm going to show you some that table I was talking about from my website, and I'm going to read to you just the pieces that relate to Israel as much as possible to kind of build for you that pre-narrative of why I'm saying, is this all just a coincidence on these data points? So let me put it up on screen for you. This is what the table looks like. There's 4 columns. Each one of these columns sometimes it'll be the same exact data across all 4 columns. Sometimes it'll change depending on the column, what theory it is, because I'll make comments like, this would mean this if it was this theory. So right now, a lot of this stuff on this table is all the same. I'm only going to read from one table, but I want to point out, Candace Owens is doing a crap ton of comments on the Charlie Kirk assassination and claiming that it was an assassination. Tyler Robinson wasn't really the shooter. She's really, really connected into the government. So it starts out 2019, Kirk appears at Utah Valley University for Turning Point USA event with Candace Owens, laying the groundwork for a later return in 2025 where he'll be assassinated. So again, Candace Owens knows a lot about Charlie Kirk. She was there with him earlier. She's been inside Turning Point USA. She's a major part. She's well connected in government all over the place. So that's a data point on there. October 7th, 2023, Charlie Kirk makes a strong pro-Israel framing after the October 7th attacks. Over the months after the Hamas attacks, Kirk repeatedly frames himself as a staunch defender of Israel and Christian Zionism on the Charlie Kirk Show and at Turning Point events, according to later compilations. That's according to Newsweek. On my table as well, we're going to show on July On a July 2025 episode of his show, Kirk criticizes a New York Times front page story alleging that mass starvation in Gaza and calls it visual warfare and propaganda, arguing that Hamas wants civilians to suffer to win a narrative war and defends Israel's conduct in the conflict. Then he does it on July 15th, an Epstein-focused show. Jeffrey Epstein-focused show out of Charlie Kirk's mouth. This is why I'm telling you this case, in my opinion, has a lot to do with Epstein. Axios reports that on July 15, 2025 episode of Kirk's podcast, it was devoted to Jeffrey Epstein, including extended interviews about the scandal and discussions of releasing the Epstein files. This comes one day after a viral clip in which he seemed to suggest moving on, prompting Axios to clarify that he wasn't dropping the subject. So again, Charlie Kirk's being taken to task about his feelings about Israel. This is all leading up to what happens with the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files that we're hearing in the news. It's still ongoing. The fight, the cover-up of the Jeffrey Epstein emails, that is all huge. It's what makes people a little bit sketchy. I'm not a political show. We're focused on the murder of Charlie Kirk and whether it really was Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson should have the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, at 2 a.m.'s Eastern Times episode of Way Too Early with Ali Vitali on MSNBC, there was references Kirk's comments about trusting his friends in government regarding the Epstein files, criticizing him for backing off his earlier demands for full release. Kirk was asking for them to release the Epstein files to make it more transparent, and then it looked like he was backing away, saying, you know what, I'm just going to trust my friends in the government to handle the Epstein files. And then they're like, are you changing your view about it? His waffling back and forth, Charlie Kirk's waffling back and forth about putting pressure on the White House to release the Epstein files is, in my opinion, a major catalyst to why he was assassinated. Then Instagram Reels on July 16th has a post dated July 16th circulating a clip of Kirk saying that he will trust his friends in the government with the Epstein files, prompting mockery from critics who note that he previously had demanded full transparency, and now all of a sudden he's going to trust his friends at the White House. A widely shared YouTube and Instagram clip shows Kirk saying that he's done talking about the Epstein files after a conversation with Trump, leading to accusations that he fell in line and he had abandoned his previous transparency demands. So again, Kirk meets with Donald Trump, and after meeting with Donald Trump, he's like, you know what, I'm not going to talk about this case anymore. I'm not going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. So people think, did Trump put pressure on Charlie Kirk to shut his mouth about Epstein? Then Megyn Kelly, late July 2025, Megyn Kelly on Epstein. A Turning Point USA Student Action Summit panel with Megyn Kelly titled, Was He an Israeli Asset?, has Kirk and Kelly discussing Epstein's origins and intelligence ties. The event is preserved on YouTube's archives, but without clearly published timestamps in text sources. So again, they're discussing, is Is Jeffrey Epstein an Israeli spy? Is he tied to the Israel government? Charlie Kirk was questioning the U.S. and how much should the U.S. support Israel? Are we owned by the Israeli government because of the things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing? So that was the gist of what I'm saying is the important part to pay attention to. He was saying that, look, I think Epstein and the Israeli government have a control of our government. And I know this is getting political. Stay with me. I'm trying to get it through. On August 6th, Charlie Kirk's Megyn Kelly podcast appearance. Megyn Kelly's podcast, Charlie Kirk responds to the accusation of anti-Semitism, saying that he has a bulletproof resume of defending Israel, citing scriptural land rights and saying that his life was changed by visiting Israel, while complaining that he faces backlash for any criticism of Israel's government. Anytime he even says, maybe we need to reevaluate how closely look at our viewership just got cut by 100 people right away. 100. Wow, it's dropping like flies. Nobody likes the Israel comment. But anyways, I'm not getting too heavy. I guess we're gonna go through this more quickly. Turning Point USA announces another run of the American Comeback Tour on September 2025. Then September 9th, the eve of the assassination, a separate political fight unfolds in Washington over newly released Epstein-related documents. Kirk is frequently mentioned among the MAGA figures demanding full disclosure of the Epstein files. This is right before he's assassinated, and they're bringing up Charlie Kirk's name. Why is this guy pushing for transparency on the Epstein files right before he's assassinated? And then on September 16th, after the assassination, Senate Judiciary hearing, FBI grilled on the Kirk probe and Epstein files. FBI Director Kash Patel testifies before the Senate Judiciary Commission about Kirk's investigation. Senators also press him on why the FBI has not released more material related to Jeffrey Epstein's investigation. Anyways, it goes on and on. Like I said, we've lost so many people at this point. Erica Kirk then gets announced as the new CEO of Turning Point. Those are just some of the data points that are on my table. Because I realized how much of a crush we take talking about it, I'm going to back off that a hair. Oh, wait, I'm not done. I'm going to piss all over my show right now by playing, I think, this video right here. I'm just going to go for broke. We lost 130. Let's see if we can get it down to 20, because this video I thought was funny. It's a meme. It's not, I'm not political, but yes, it's making light of Trump putting pressure on hiding his connections to Epstein. In this video clip, which is mostly animated figures, you're going to see an actual clip of Trump and Epstein partying back in the day. And this is about, it's going to show Pam Bondi from the Attorney General's office, Kash Patel from the FBI shredding documents in the White House. It's all a joke. It's a parody. It's cute, catchy music. Pissed everybody off last time. Let's see if we can go for broke and do it again. Let's see. Let's put it on screen. Let's go here. And let's go here. Do I not have that? Hold on. Oh, yeah. I had to click on it because it starts playing immediately. And you probably don't hear it yet, do you?
Nah.
Not yet.
I'll
Nope.
fix it. Hold on. Stop. And present. Screen share. Window. That. Share. Oops. Hold on. One more time. Stop sharing. Present. Screen share. That. Window. All right. I'm going to wait for just a minute for it to get to the end of the clip, and then I'll share it so that it goes live. Yeah, I'm going for broke. Like, apparently I don't care about numbers because I play this kind of shit. All right, here we go. All right, it's kind of the ending of the clip, but we'll watch the whole thing. Here we go. There we go. Do you hear sound?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry if the files drop looking jiggy. Pam and Cash got a bit ricky. If I look guilty, it's no biggie to answer your question. Quiet, picky, quiet. Quiet, picky, quiet. Quiet, picky. Names in the margins, reading big wiggy. I'll flip flop and get zig ziggy. Broads in the press pool, getting a little diggy. I've got your answer right here. Quiet, piggy, quiet. Quiet, piggy, quiet. Quiet, piggy. Boing, 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 boing.
And thus dies my YouTube channel. Anyways, I thought it was kind of a little bit funny myself. Maybe it's not as funny as I thought it was, but I thought it was a little bit funny. And I took a risk. We did it at the end of the night, pissed everybody off, lost half the audience. It is what it is. So the question becomes, with the 116 left after we crushed our numbers, do people want to hear about my last couple of comments about Luigi Mangione and Rex Heuermann? They're not big news. We could wrap up. See, somebody at least thought it was funny. Somebody's still here for it. So there's that. But it was a catchy tune, so thank you for that, by the way. But I've got a couple more pieces of news that I was going to share on those two cases. And I'll make it quick. How about that? I'll make it quick.
Did you guys, by the way, see the latest stuff from Candace?
I haven't seen anything today.
She was talking today about she went a little bit further with the plane, the Egyptian planes. And she was saying, remember we talked about the Delaware thing where the plane landed in Delaware, that there was a hangar near where the plane landed that was actually purchased by a French company, and it was leased for 2 months, and it was supposedly for painting planes. And So I listened to like half of her video, and then I literally had to rush to get home.
Right.
But she was talking about how the connection between the French government and this company that had leased this hangar, and it's really, she kind of gets into how suspicious it is.
Yeah.
And then she starts, and she did say, I don't know if the people that were on the plane were Egyptian or not. She said they could be from anywhere, right? She
Yeah.
said, oh, Jeffrey Epstein had passports from Saudi Arabia, in different places. But she did go into it a little bit more today. So if you guys get a chance, check out her latest video, because she does start to kind of dig into that a little bit more.
Cool. Yeah, I'm trying to keep up on this stuff, and I just haven't had time to review today's thing, so I'll hopefully catch up with that. So I'm going to be brief about Luigi Mangione and Rex Heuermann. Rex Heuermann's got a little bit lengthier just because of the nature of the article, but this is kind of an irritating. We just talked yesterday about Luigi Mangione winning a small victory of being allowed to wear civilian clothing during his trial, all right, or during his next trial appearance, because as my friend Ale Benevento's video that I featured yesterday, when people see somebody dressed up as a prisoner, they get an idea that person's a criminal because they're dressed like a prisoner. And so it's actually recognized by our courts that it can prejudice juries on how to think about somebody if they come in shackles and chains and a prison uniform, suggesting that this is a prisoner. It's somebody who belongs in that uniform. So it helps with a trial for presumption of innocence where they're in street clothes. Instead, this article talks about how basically he's being spoiled and treated with luxuries because he's allowed to dress like a normal person. Luigi Mangione to get this luxury during a court appearance. It goes on to say, previously, Mangione has worn tan clothes to his hearings. This has resulted in a complaint from the prosecutors who criticize it as his fashion needs. So they're mocking Mangione's fashion needs. Oh, he needs to appear in regular clothes. He's got to worry about his fashion. So they're mocking the idea that maybe you don't want to have the jury prejudiced that you're a criminal because you're arriving in handcuffs, a bulletproof vest, and a prison uniform. This clothing luxury is provided to Luigi Mangione for his court appointments. It goes on to say, I think I got another highlight. Tell me. Oh, did I not have it in this? Anyways, I guess that's the gist of it. The point being is they're mocking the idea that him wearing civilian clothing is just a luxury and basically his need for his own fashion sense, instead of recognizing, like a bunch of assholes, that it prejudices people against you when you are treated and referred to and shackled like a prisoner. It makes people think you must be guilty. You wouldn't be in that condition if you weren't a bad guy. So it annoys me. Once again, it was just a quick thing. I wanted to share it with everybody. And then let's do a quick Rex Heuermann thing on screen, and then we'll end for the night. Boy, we can't talk about politics, I'm telling you that much, because it just crushes us, doesn't it? But anyways, Rex Heuermann's trial, DNA evidence, and legal updates. This is one of those things that I almost feel ties into Idaho 4, because using DNA and the new advanced DNA genome sequencing and all that stuff like that is becoming the new way to convict people in America. And Othram is, in my opinion, leading leading the country in the pursuit of, let's put people away based on genetic sequencing, DNA, advanced DNA stuff that juries can't understand. That's the problem. Juries don't understand this stuff. It's highly technical. But anyways, this post covers the current status of Heuermann's trial. And again, Rex Heuermann is the alleged serial killer and the Long Island serial killers. They have 7 people that they're charging with murder right now. All of those bodies, by the way, have a very hard DNA that is very degraded, and they're using advanced scientific techniques to pin murders on them from back in the 90s on techniques that have never been used before in New York. Now, they have been used in other places, but they haven't been used in New York. And we had a Fry hearing recently to determine whether or not New York should use this relatively untested scientific data that juries aren't going to understand anyways, to place Rex Heuermann at the murder scene from something back in the 90s or maybe the 2000s. So this post covers that. Okay, the trial involves groundbreaking forensic science that could reshape how courts handle old evidence. Because many remains were decades old and badly broken down, prosecutors rely heavily on advanced DNA methods to connect him to the crime scenes. The defense team questions whether his DNA evidence is reliable and if it should be allowed in court. This makes the Heuermann trial about more than just the charges. It could set new rules for how forensic science is used in future cases. A judge ruled on September 3rd that advanced DNA evidence can be used in court even though it relies on whole genome sequencing from old damaged hair samples. The court sided with the prosecutors, finding that their scientific experts provided solid proof, while the defense could not present concrete evidence to challenge the DNA method. The DNA method uses whole genome sequencing, a technique that reads far more genetic information than the standard DNA test used in most criminal cases. Prosecutors claim this method linked rootless hairs. So there's not DNA on the roots of the hair. And so they are using rootless hairs found on the victims to directly tie Rex Heuermann and his family members when older testing methods failed to produce results. The defense argues the lab lacked proper New York permits and claims the statistical software has electronic problems and hasn't been proven reliable in state courts in New York. Legal experts believe the case could set new standards, potentially making whole genome sequencing a regular tool for solving cold cases and involving degraded and limited DNA samples. And even in the case of Idaho, right, there was argument that the sample was degraded, and they're using advanced techniques to reconstitute the DNA sample, to double it in size or triple it in size so they have enough to make a sequence. It's sketchy groundwork. I just thought I would bring it up for discussion with the few of us, maybe the 100 of us that are left. Does anybody have some feelings on how you feel about more and more people being convicted on DNA evidence in science that the average Joe Blow can't follow, and just at the end of the day has to trust that, well, I guess he must be guilty. You tell me he was there because the science says so, but I can't follow the science.
Well, I just think that my take on this stuff is like money is behind everything. And, oftentimes, the narratives about experts, right? This has been a big narrative in the last 5 or 6 years. Trust the experts. And anybody who studied, went to college and studied science or any type of scientific method, theories often get disproven down the road. And so techniques that are considered cutting edge at one point in time in science oftentimes get invalidated later on. And so, polygraph tests were always considered like this huge thing, but everybody knows they're not perfect. And people can beat polygraph tests. They say sociopaths are good at beating polygraph tests. So there's a lot of things when it comes to the whole idea of experts. If you really believe in science, then you know that, certain sciences that are relatively new, they have to develop over time and mistakes can be made and they're not infallible.
Yeah. And, as far as like the whole, there's scientific methods we still don't use in things like polygraph tests. They're not admissible in court for a reason because it doesn't necessarily tell you what they're trying to imply that it tells you. It doesn't tell you whether a person's guilty or not. It tells you whether they had a reaction to the question. Now with DNA sequencing, it's a little different. But again, I argue that there's an argument to be made that when you get too technical, people just check out and say, it must be true because I can't follow it anymore. And they just go, yeah, whatever. Okay. You're saying he was there. And they just check out. And then it's conviction because they just don't want to have to think it through too much. And so I don't know if that will happen in this case. I don't know if we're moving in that direction, but it bothers me a little bit. But any other comments on that, one or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to have, an improvement in technology, but they're also, there's got to be the same way that, experts or whatnot, they're able to explain, whatever such and such technology. I mean, there's always going to be an expert that can argue against it, right? So I agree a lot of what JJ said, some of this stuff. It's great to be able to solve some of these cold cases and whatnot. I believe that was the whole point of Courtroom Labs, right, from the beginning, was to try to shed some light on some of the cold case stuff, and now obviously that has pivoted to, possibly being the main lab for regular cases just going forward. So some of this stuff takes time to develop, and it's the same with medicine or anything else. Things are going to improve and things are going to get better over time. But there is an issue there, like, we have a definitive science or technology that proves such and such person definitively committed such crime. You got to be able to explain it, though. So that's going to be kind of the catch-all in this. Might have some great technology that can prove stuff, but you got to be able to explain it to a jury in regular everyday terms that they can understand. If they're not able to understand, I don't think you could just say, like, oh yeah, there's this technology, this person must be guilty. That's not gonna be enough.
I want to address real quick Sinful Bitch's question. Do we know if Rex's daughter knew what he did? And I would, if you haven't seen it, maybe you have, maybe that's where the question's coming from, but if you haven't seen it, on my channel, in my Lisk playlist, I've got at least 2 videos, one featuring John Ray, where he was showing the artwork of Victoria Heuermann, very morbid, dark artwork. And he postulates, and I cover his statements, that the wife and the daughter did likely know what was going on. I also then had an interview that's on my channel, if you haven't seen it, with John Ray. We talked for about an hour and a half or so. Excellent interview where he talks again about some of those things. And I've met with John Ray in person in New York when I went back and visited. And yeah, John Ray, the attorney for the family of Shannon Gilbert, who kind of started the whole discovery of the Gilgo 4 bodies that started the Long Island serial killer case, he has a belief that Asa, Rex's wife, and Victoria, the daughter, knew what was going on, at least in part, and that the whole family had some kind of knowledge. He believes that the wife actually lied about a time that they said that they were out of the country, when he can essentially has receipts that can prove that she wasn't out of the country when she said she was, which leads to why lie about it, unless you're trying to establish the idea that, hey, I had no idea what my husband was doing because I was out of the country, if she was actually in the country. Now, the bad part is that, those kind of questions are not going to get asked at trial. No one's questioning yet at all whether the family had anything to do with it and finds it irrelevant. It's not likely that Rex's attorney is going to make an argument, how do you know it wasn't his wife or his daughter that did it or something like that? That's probably never going to be part of the discussion. So will we ever get those answers? I don't know. However, I have a major interest in that, and I'm going to continue to pull threads and try to follow that lead and share my ideas and my thoughts, even if I can't prove it, because there won't be a trial on those issues. So thanks for asking. It is something that I'm super interested in, and that's about Rex Heuermann. Yeah. Any other comments, questions, concerns before we say goodnight? Again, I don't know that there's a lesson learned about the dropping half of our audience as soon as we started talking about. Maybe it was how I presented it. Maybe it was super dry. Whatever the case may be, we literally lost half our audience as soon as we stopped talking about Idaho 4. Was it because we talked about Charlie? Was it because it was political? I don't know. We'll try to figure those things out. However, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to stop talking about Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to stop talking about Luigi Mangione. I'm not going to stop talking about Lisk or even Mickey Steins for that matter. These cases are huge. I think they all have implications. It's what my channel's about. So thank you all for signing in. Joe, 1-1, thank you again for being part of the show. Robin's not here for me to say goodbye. Jason Estes, you guys have any parting thoughts you want to say on the way out?
Not a long statement, but I came in a little late. I know you were kind of mentioning I guess the lawsuit of with Idaho 4 and WSU. which is what's super interesting with that. And I think Pav actually covered it a bit too, with a few people covering it. If we believe that they work, there's 4 homicides or 2 of them, or any homicide at all, that someone was killed in this. It's super interesting to see what's going to happen with WSU. I highly doubt that anyone's going to get $400 million. I know people always sue for a larger, higher amount than they actually get, but is that basically like now making like a big enemy of WSU? Is WSU, you're not talking about a small amount of money. Are they going to, there's obviously going to most likely be some kind of depositions and somewhat involved in that, right? So are they going to question, I know there's a whole theory that, WSU, that their things with the school were protected and whatnot, but if they didn't have any involvement or not, you're still talking about a large sum of money. Are they going to now, pull the reins back, and are they going to question some of the stuff that went on? It's going to be interesting to see. Maybe because of that lawsuit, maybe we will get, some light will be shed on certain questions that we've had for a long time due to these depositions and whatnot. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
For sure.
Good point, man. That's a good point. That might actually shed light on stuff, some other stuff, even if it may not be directly something that most people will connect to. We might put our heads together, all of us in the community, and say, wait a second, hold on. These things didn't get addressed. Right. In the first go around with Brian Kohberger. There might be some stuff about WSU that WSU has to put out that contradicts a lot of the stuff we've been told.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I thank you guys again for coming on. I thank you for those who are saying, hey, we're the loyal fans. Stay into the end. Don't change anything. You got something good. I hear you. We will plug forward to it. It's funny. I'm looking over here at the guys on screen instead of looking in the camera. So now I hear you. We'll keep plugging along. I don't intend to change. We're trying to improve this on a regular basis. So we got a lot of irons in the fire. So stay tuned for more, and thank you all, and have a great night. Thanks, guests, for coming on the show. Another good show as far as I'm concerned, and take it easy, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.